The standoff between Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks continues, and it's honestly getting more and more ridiculous by the day, with Giannis's post-game interviews after bad losses becoming more and more cryptic, saying things like, "We're not playing hard, we're not playing to win, we're not playing together, our chemistry isn't there." Or when he was asked if he sees himself finishing out the season in Milwaukee, he said, "I don't know, I'm taking things day by day," all the while making statements that he will never ask for a trade and will ride with this team until the end. And of course, the Bucks on their part have said they're not trading Giannis unless he demands one, and in fact, they're going to be buyers at the deadline and try to make an all-in push to compete for a title. No one wants to look like the bad guy. No one wants the fan base to turn on them. It's a game of chicken right now to see who blinks first when we all know it's coming. But at some point, whether it be Giannis or the Bucks front office, reality has to set in, because they can't keep deluding themselves into thinking they're going to turn things around. They've got the best player in the conference, and if they can just make the playoffs, they have a fighter's chance. No. You're 18-25 at the time of this recording. You're 11th in the Eastern Conference, 1.5 games back of the Atlanta Hawks for the 10 seed, 3.5 games back of the Bulls for the 9 seed. Your team is just not good enough, even with Giannis. Giannis is a top 5 player in the league, hands down. I personally think he's top 3, but I know some will take issue with that. But he's a consensus top 5 player in the NBA. No one is denying his talent. But basketball, of course, as we all know, is a team sport. Shocking, right? And if you don't have the requisite talent around a top 5 player in the league, it doesn't matter how good your superstar is. You're not going to be competitive. You're not. Peak Michael Jordan on this Bucks roster isn't getting it done. I'm sorry. The roster construction is bad. It doesn't fit well with Giannis' skill set. I never understood why they thought Doc Rivers was somehow going to come in and save the day after they fired Adrian Griffin after coaching the team for just a half season. Their offense is slow and stagnant. They don't rebound the ball well. They're actually the worst offensive rebounding team in the league. They lose the possession battle consistently. They're 27th in the NBA in shots taken. They're dead last in getting to the free throw line, and even when they do, they can't make their free throw, shooting just 73%, which is also last in the NBA. Their defense is below average, their offense is below average, and they're 24th in the league in net rating. They're not a good team. And trading for Ja Morant or worse, Zach LaVine, Jeremy Grant, etc. isn't going to change that. That's not suddenly propelling them into title contention. And you'd have to think reality is eventually going to kick in. The question is whether it's going to be Giannis first when he comes out and demands a trade, or it's the Bucks that say, you know what, we tried. We made a lot of aggressive moves over the years, somewhat too aggressive, like trading for Damian Lillard. We won a championship with Giannis in his prime. Yeah, we probably should have won more, but we reached our ceiling with Giannis. We don't have the trade chips to really make a play to try and compete for a title. We have limited draft capital, dead money on the books with Dame's contract. It's time. It's time to start taking and making calls on Giannis. Because you also have to understand, it's very possible this could be the peak of Giannis' trade value. He's 31 years old, still in his prime, but he is above 30 now. He's due for a huge extension, likely the Supermax. If you hold on to Giannis and he becomes more disgruntled, gets older, gets more expensive, teams aren't going to be willing to trade the farm to get this guy. But right now, I can guarantee you, even in today's CBA environment, there would be a massive bidding war for Giannis' services. We're talking multiple first-round picks, multiple young prospects with upside. This is a way for the Bucks to get off on the right foot in starting their next chapter without Giannis. Otherwise, if you keep kicking the can down the road and you trade more future assets, and Giannis over time loses more and more trade value, you're putting yourself in a position to set you back for years. Limited draft capital, no young players, and now you're also getting a minimal return for Giannis. What's funny too is that I don't even think the Bucks, the fan base, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments for any Bucks fans that are watching this, I don't think Bucks fans would be mad if Giannis requested a trade, or the Bucks just straight up traded him without Giannis actually making that demand. I feel they, just like the rest of us, are seeing that this has run its course and that it would actually be in the best interest of all parties involved to go their separate ways. Like Giannis, yeah, you won us a championship, the first one in nearly 50 years. You were loyal to this team, to the fan base. It's okay if you request a trade. I'm sure some fans will be mad and he'll get some hate for pushing his way out of Milwaukee, but this isn't going to be like a LeBron decision in 2010 where he blindsided the Cavs and became the NBA's villain. I really don't see that being the case, because what's eventually going to happen is they let the deadline pass, the Bucks miss the playoffs, or they somehow squeak into it and get bounced in the first round. Giannis is due for that extension this summer. The Bucks offer it to him, and he declines, which effectively becomes a trade demand without actually demanding a trade, because it lets the front office know, I'm not staying here long term. You might as well trade me before I walk in free agency. So just rip off the Band-Aid, do it now, get it over with, and the best way I can see this getting done that would truly help the Bucks capitalize and speed up their rebuild is aim for a trade with the Atlanta Hawks. Why? Well, one, because the Hawks have the expiring salaries of Porzingis, McCollum, or Luke Kennard to actually make the money work to allow the Bucks to free up cap space for the future by letting those players walk in free agency. But more importantly, the Hawks own a very, very valuable pick. They own the Pelicans' unprotected pick in this upcoming draft. An unprotected pick, which at the time of this recording is more than likely going to be a top 5 selection. Very high likelihood of it landing in the top 3 even. This pick was actually a swap rights pick with the Bucks anyway, so they would get that pick, have the potential to draft a player like Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsta, Cam Boozer, franchise-changing level players, or what are projected to be franchise-changing players. You get that pick along with other picks from the Hawks, and you can even throw in Zachary Richeche. They can take him as a flyer for another young player that has some upside, even though he's had a disappointing sophomore season. That, to me, is the most ideal scenario if you're the Bucks to try and take advantage of Giannis's value and kickstart their rebuild. Yes, there are other trades that could be intriguing. Would the Warriors get desperate enough and trade all of their tradable firsts to the Bucks along with Jimmy Butler's contract? That doesn't help from a salary perspective in the short term, as Butler is still under contract next season, but snagging a bunch of Warriors picks, especially those that are far out into the future, when Steph is no longer in the league and Giannis would be heading into his late 30s, you're talking about some very, very valuable picks. But again, that's more long-term, and you're likely going to go through a lot of losing seasons before those picks start to convey. The Spurs, I don't think they would do this because they've been playing so well and likely don't want to rock the boat when they've done a great job at building a young core around Wemby, but they have the assets, the expiring contracts to get a deal done. I'm shocked the Bucks are dead against trading Giannis unless he requests a trade, because there are so many opportunities out there to start a bidding war to really set you up for the future. Like, it would be different if the Bucks currently were sitting 5th or 6th in the East and there was a world where, with one more piece, they could make a deep run in the playoffs because they have the best player in any series, but there is a high likelihood they may not even make the playoffs this season. They have so much ground to make up in the standings, and they also have one of the hardest strength of schedules to close out the season. I just don't understand how they can't see what's staring at them in the face that we all quite frankly see. Anyway, we'll see what happens. The trade deadline is almost here. Teams are kind of holding off on making any deals to see what could potentially happen with the Giannis Antetokounmpo situation. Let me know what you guys think though in the comments. Let me know. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.